So the dream team for week 2 of the Rugby Championship. It was a pretty hard one to pick this week in some positions. Obviously, there are a couple of guys who you will know before I even read their names out. But yeah, a lot of these guys took a bit of careful thought. As always, it's just my picks. Always open to feedback on who you guys thought could have made it. Sometimes I end up changing my mind after I've made the vid based on some of your arguments, so that's always very cool. And also just a reminder, it is kind of a fantasy style team. So remember, not strict positioning. Got a couple of inside centers here. I did pick a fullback this week, but you know, 2 number 4s, so no number 5. It's all kind of more like fantasy rugby if you've ever played that. Rugby Pass are doing fantasy rugby this year, this Rugby Championship. So if you're ever looking for a good source of stats, they're pretty good. Start with the props. Going with Joe Moody. When a prop scores a try, he's always going to be pretty high on my list. So he got a try. Had 3 runs, 6 meters, so 2 meters at a time, which is pretty prop-like, and not a single pass. Very cool. What a prop. He beat 1 defender, made 8 from 10 tackles, only conceded 1 penalty, even though the All Black scrum was kind of under the pump a wee bit. But yeah, in a game that was more about his propping partner Franks, I thought Moody had a pretty good shift. From the Pumas, and I should say, I mean, given that the All Blacks and the Pumas won, there's a lot of All Blacks and Pumas in this team. Springboks and Wallabies, not so much. So Juan Figalo from the Pumas, 3 runs. Moody had 6. He had 1. 3 runs for 1 meter. No passes. So again, he is a prop. He's running it 3 times. He's not passing it. 11 from 12 tackles is a really good work rate. That scrum was pretty dominant compared to what we saw from them last week. So that was a massive improvement, and he only conceded 1 penalty. Played quite a few minutes for a prop. It took him quite a while to be subbed. So I thought, yeah, big effort from him. So that's 2 props. Very similar stats and you know, kind of similar performances, although Moody did get a try. Hooker was kind of a tough one, but I have gone with Augustine Krivy from the Pumas. So he had 5 runs for 14 meters, so he's making these 2 props look like kind of slouches. No passes, which means I picked 3 players from the front row, not a single pass between them. He got 2 turnovers, which is just massive. And some of those were at kind of key times. Well, at least one of them was kind of when they were really under the pump, so very important. 12 from 16 tackles, so he did miss 4, but he's still in the kind of right area of the stats for that. And their line-out was kind of solid without being spectacular. So pretty good effort from him. I was kind of between him and Cody Taylor probably this week, but I have gone with Krivy mostly for those turnovers, which is not his core role. I've met some guys comments, and it's cool, like saying, you know, you should be looking at a guy for his core role. So, I mean, I kind of understand that. Like, sometimes if you saw a prop who was just getting savaged in the scrum, but, like, made heaps of tackles and scored tries and was otherwise around the park good, would you still pick a prop like that? Maybe not, because a prop's number 1 job is the scrum. So I still get that there's kind of something to be said for doing your core role well. But I thought Krivy did that too. Locks, no doubt about this guy. Brodie Retallick, 2nd week here in a row. He had a try assist, so he didn't dummy this week. He decided to pass. So he got a try assist, 13 runs. He passed 11 times, which is, you know, considering the first 3 guys had none, quite a few. 2 offloads, ran 19 meters, including a clean break, 2 defenders beaten, 11 from 14 tackles, and some strips in the tackle. The guy is just a monster of a man at the moment, and I would imagine if you're anyone but an All Blacks fan, he is probably one of the most frustrating guys to play against, because he always seems pretty fired up, and he always seems to be there just to disrupt when you don't want him. And he's a bit niggly as well, so I would imagine if you're not an All Blacks fan, you probably don't like Brodie that much, but no doubt, whoever you are, you can appreciate some of the stuff he does on the park. Next, it took me a little while longer to kind of come to a decision on this, but I go with Guido Petty from the Pumas. So he had 6 runs, 1 pass, that's fine, 16 meters. 15 tackles is solid by anyone's means, but he did miss 6, so that's not the best strike rate. He did concede 2 penalties, again, which kind of takes away from his performance. He had 2 line-out wins, but importantly, and probably largely why I've got him here, he had 2 line-out steals And that was another one of those kind of important things. As the Springboks were pushing against the clock and the Argentinians, I don't know if Argies is an offensive word, I hope not. The Argentinians were holding out. He got line-out turnovers at key times to just really kind of set up the Argentinians for an exit. So it took all the pressure off. Instead of having to defend kind of a maul or a series of attacks, win the ball at that first point at the line-out and just make the Springboks start again. So that was kind of key. And he'd been doing that all Super Rugby season long as well, so it's kind of no surprise to see that from him. Next, call me a fanboy. He is the only Wallaby I've got on this side again. I've gone for David Pocock. So he didn't have the kind of same impact at in terms of turnovers that he did last week, but he still had 5 runs for 8 meters, 4 passes. But the guy is like made of granite because he ran into, was it Squire that ran into him? Yeah, Squire tackled him. And Squire was the worst for wear, and he's a pretty tough guy. And then towards the end of the game, Sam Cane ran into him and came off the worst for wear. So Pocock is made of some pretty tough stuff. He's a hard man. And despite that, kind of putting 2 All Blacks on their backsides, he had 18 from 18 tackles in a team. Like initially when I finished watching the game, it said 13, but the stats obviously get adjusted as they rewatch the footage or whatever those statisticians do. It bumped up to 18 from 18 in a team that wasn't defending that well. Their tackle stats overall were pretty poor. 18 from 18. The guy can't do it all on its own. His defense is massive. He's always a threat at the breakdown. He keeps the All Blacks very honest at the breakdown, trying to make sure he's cleaned out, get the ball out quickly before he can get to it, that kind of thing. So, yes, he is just an excellent, excellent player. Next, from the Springboks, I've gone with Kolisi. Yeah, I'm a sucker for tries, and his try was a pretty sweet one. He had another clean break, which was pretty nice. He had 3 clean breaks overall in the game. 12 runs for 7 meters, which doesn't seem that much, but he did have a couple of clean breaks. Beat 6 defenders, which is very impressive for a guy in his position. 7 from 8 tackles. He was kind of skinned for, I think it was the Sanchez try. But overall 7 out of 8 tackles, not too bad. Even took 1 ball in the line out. So, I'm going to give it to him for this one. I just like to see the man carrying the ball, and that he didn't disappoint. Next, a man people said I probably should have had last week, and I kind of agree. Kieran Reid. His stats reflect better his performance this week than last week. The guy had 9 runs, 4 passes. Yeah, that's fine. 1 offload, that's cool. 36 meters is a decent number, seeing as he had 9 runs. He had 1 clean break. But if you thought Pocock's 18 tackles was impressive, 21 tackles. He missed 2. But 21 tackles is just madness. Most times when you're getting into the teens, that's pretty good. 18 is already exceptional, but 21 is just... it's almost far-fetched. But, the guy who is a very good rugby player put in a very good shift. Seeing as he hasn't had that much rugby this season, he does not look off the pace 1 iota. Next, and this was a hard one because Guinea did have a good game, but I have gone with Aaron Smith. Like I said, there's a lot of All Blacks in this team. Aaron Smith, 4 try assists. I know Guinea got a try, but 4 try assists is mind-boggling. 6 runs, 3 defenders beaten, 14 meters, that's fine. 6 out of 8 tackles. He was guilty for one of the Wallabies' tries for kind of not making the tackle that he should have made. 4 try assists. And TJ came on and looked good as well, so you got to be pretty good to be keeping him out the team. Yep. Next, no prizes for guessing that I've gone with Beauden Barrett. Despite Nicolas Sanchez having a really masterful game for the Pumas, the guy scored 4 tries. Could have been 5, but he was denied by the TMO. 4 tries, 18 runs, 36 passes. So he really does seem to have a really good balance of his passing and his running. He runs at the right times. 147 meters. 4 clean breaks, 7 defenders beaten, made 6 from 7 tackles, kicked 5 from 6 kicks. Big effort from Bodie. Will we see Moonga anytime soon? Not if Bodie's playing like that. But realistically, I think we will see Moonga towards the end. But also D-Mac needs a shot as well. So there's plenty of guys in line. And Barrett is saying, not while I'm still around at the minute. The midfield was kind of a harder pick for this one. But I have gone with Batista Escura from the Pumas. I could have gone with Moroni, who was also putting in a good shift, and he had like 3 try assists. But I've gone with Escura. He had 1 try assist, 6 runs, 9 passes, beat 1 defender, 24 meters, 12 from 14 tackles for a guy in that channel was pretty impressive, with Esterhazen coming at him as well. And Esterhazen had a pretty good game, I must admit, like more impressive than last week. I thought last week I thought it was more than Esterhazen. This week I thought it was kind of the other way around. But for Escura, even got 1 turnover, work rate, commitment, skill. It's all there. Next one I've gone, and like I said, I could have gone, Moroni, I could have gone, even Hodge, who got a try for the Wallabies. But I have gone Nani Laumapi. First game of the Rugby Championship for him. 16 runs, 14 passes, so good distribution. The All Blacks have kind of been on at him a bit for his distribution, not just being a battering ram. 5 defenders beaten, which is probably quiet for him, but for most people it's pretty good. 1 clean break, 81 run meters, and 9 from 9 tackles. He is still doing that bone crunching thing that he does. He bumped off Kurtley Beale a couple of times to kind of set the All Blacks on the right foot going forward towards the latter half of the game, second half. He's going to make himself a bit harder to leave out, but then again, Crotty is supposed to be pretty on the good recovery track from his concussion. So tough decisions for the All Blacks going forward. Outside backs, I've gone with Delgi from the Pumas. 2 tries, 1 really fantastic run out of his own goal line to really take the pressure off, kind of like Petty. He's as the Springboks were just pushing them on, just came up with the right play at the right time. 10 runs, 73 meters, 11 defenders beaten. Laumapi had 5. I mean, Delgi doesn't really do it with his necessarily his kind of battering ram style play like Laumapi. It's more of his steps and his jinks and jives, but same effect in the end of the day. 3 clean breaks, only 2 out of 5 tackles is kind of a dampener on it, but still, overall, man, 11 defenders beaten is just disappointing for the Springboks, but very good for the Pumas. Next, Ben Smith on the wing this week. The guy is class, man. Like, I'm always wanting to see him at 15 because he's one of the best fullbacks in the world, and I think he's a little bit wasted on the wing, but when I look at these numbers, I think, okay, he can do wing just as well. 2 try assists, 14 runs, 14 passes, so perfect balance there for him. Like, you'd think most wingers are going to be running it more, but I guess that goes with his experience at fullback as well. 3 defenders beaten, 4 clean breaks, 93 run meters, 2 from 3 tackles. The guy knows how to run a support line. He's got a wealth of experience. He knows how to beat a man. He's just an all-round very good player, and he doesn't look at, they always call him the accountant, but his numbers in this case are looking very good. Last one, I picked a proper fullback this week. I did agonize about who should be my final outside back this week. LaRue had a pretty good game for the Boks. Mapo, who came on for the Springboks and had 2 tries. Either way, I have gone with Geordie Barrett. Again, call me a Barrett fanboy, but 13 runs, 14 passes, including an offload, 5 defenders beaten, which until you saw Delgi's stats actually looks pretty good. 2 clean breaks, but the main reason is 149 run meters is just madness. I mean, his brother had 147. Did his brother by 2 meters. Made 1 from 1 tackles. He almost scored a try of his own. He probably should have watched a bit more rugby league, how they score in the corner and try to make sure they keep their feet in the air so they don't get dragged into touch. They kind of do the Superman dive thing. Probably needs to watch a bit more league to get that down. And I'll give him a little bit of credit because he was tackled off the ball. I think it was by Alatoa, but I could be wrong. He was tackled off the ball early in the second half, and the All Blacks, from the resulting penalty, ended up scoring a try. So, hey, kind of a try assist in a roundabout way. But yeah, that's the team. As always, do leave me your feedback, who you think is probably a bit fortunate to be in my lot, and who you think you would have had in instead. Always love reading through those comments and kind of getting back to you guys there. But yeah, you let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again for another one soon. See you later.